Bloomberg Audio Studios.
Podcasts, radio, news.
This is Bloomberg Businessweek with Massar and Tim Stenovec on Bloomberg Radio.
I think this might be a first, though. I'm looking at video of you right now. You have taken to the skies. I believe you're in an airplane. We're testing the limits of in-flight Wi-Fi. What's going on right now?
Well, sounds good on my end. Can you hear me?
Sounds good. We can hear you. We can see you. So far, the test looks good.
Great.
Is this Starlink?
Yeah, what are you using, actually?
It's a good question. It's good Wi-Fi, though. That's all I can tell you. So it works well, and it's efficient. So I'm glad this is a first for you guys, but let's get to Project Liberty and the People's Bid.
Okay, let's get to the People's Bid. And I will note for people watching on YouTube and Bloomberg Originals, you can tell the plane that Frank is in. It's not the typical plane that you'd take and board at, group 1 through 12. Frank travels differently. So Frank, we do appreciate you taking the time. Let's talk about the People's Bid here, because last time you were on the show with us, you had not put out a bid for TikTok. Are you still going for it? And do you have the money?
Yeah, we're still going for it, and we have the money. So it's we're plowing ahead. Every day it looks, more and more like we're leading the pack. Should the U.S. TikTok be sold, and we believe it will be, and we're all awaiting the judge's decision, which it could come out as early as this week. We believe the government's position is going to be upheld, and ByteDance is going to have to abide by that and shut down the app or sell it. And so we have been working hard, making preparations to put ourselves in a position to buy the app and move it over to a new protocol where individuals have own and control their identity and their data, and they're not, surveilled 24/7.
Why do you believe that the sale will still be required, even though the president-elect has said he doesn't want to ban TikTok?
Well, we don't want to ban TikTok either. And I'm glad to hear him say that because we don't think it should be banned. And, there's 170 million people, Tim, using it that enjoy using it. And we want to keep the TikTok alive. But the president hasn't said it won't be sold. I mean, I think he's well aware of the national security risks. And, Congress acted very quickly and in a rare moment of consensus, legislated that this app is dangerous for Americans and needs to be shut down or sold. And the president has said he doesn't want to see it shut down, and we, like him, don't want to see it shut down either. And we believe it will be sold and no longer be in Chinese hands after this the court ruling.
What problems with TikTok are you looking to solve, to rectify through the People's Bid?
Well, the reason why the Congress passed the legislation in the first place is because they deemed TikTok a national security threat, and amongst other things, by surveilling 170 million Americans and scraping their data, their personal information, and also feeding them information that's favorable to the Chinese government and not so favorable to America or to the USA, to our democracy, and so forth. It's really a huge propaganda machinery that is influencing lots of Americans, by feeding them false information about an array of situations that are, and the information that's fed is amplified as a pro-Chinese perspective as opposed to a anti-American, and by the way, an anti-American one. So it's not a balanced platform. It's actually being used by the Chinese government to persuade Americans of pro-Chinese, anti-American positions. That's extremely, extremely unhealthy. And beyond that, it's a surveillance tool. And this is very, very dangerous for America and Americans. So by moving the TikTok user base onto the protocol and the platform that Project Liberty has built over the last 5 years, users won't be surveilled. They'll own and control their identity. They'll own and control their data. They'll be able to get compensated for the use of their data, and they'll permission its use. So it's just the opposite of a surveillance machine.
Frank, who have you lined up to join you in the bid? Bloomberg Intelligence has said back in May that TikTok's U.S. assets were valued at between $35 billion and $40 billion. So who have you lined up to help with the bid?
Yeah, we think that number is a bit high, but to be clear, we don't know what TikTok or ByteDance rather will be selling. Right? We don't know whether they'll be selling the brand or not. The user base is what we're particularly interested in. We're assuming they'll sell that. Will they be selling the content, and so on and so forth? We think that 30 to 40 billion number is a bit high. We've circled over $20 billion, and we're prepared to move forward. And we'll see. Maybe there'll be more sold than we're anticipating, and that will affect the price. But we do know that the algorithm, ByteDance algorithm, is not available, and that has a huge impact on the value of U.S. TikTok.
Yeah,
and it depresses the value.
That part certainly makes sense. Can you give us some names of individuals though who've lined up to finance this?
No, I'm not in a position to do that until after we hear from the judges, because all of the people that have lined up have said let's wait and see what that legal decision is, and then proceed. So we're getting all of our ducks in a line, and we will be naming names at the appropriate time and in the appropriate place. But look, we're going to take this one step at a time. It makes no sense to start throwing names around prior to this legal decision. But once this decision comes down, which we think is imminent, by the way, then things get really serious. And that's when we are going to move very, very quickly. And I assume others, if they're interested, will as well. But we haven't actually heard of anyone else that's a serious bidder at this moment in time.
Frank, if you're not able to get the algorithm, I mean, a lot of people argue that the TikTok algorithm is the secret sauce. It is what keeps people going back to TikTok over and over again and staring at their screens for hours a day. If you don't get that, how do you know people are going to stay and use the app?
We have people right now working on alternatives to that, and we just believe very, very strongly that surveilling people, scraping their data, and applying algorithms to feed them information, manipulate them, take advantage of them, and so on and so forth is incredibly unhealthy. By the way, this is the same way that our own American-made social media apps and so forth work, which we think is also very dangerous. But in this particular case, there's also the added national security risk that I referred to earlier. So we're not interested in the algorithm. The technology we've built doesn't rely on the algorithm. There will be algorithms. There will be ads. There will be, but it won't be top down, targeting people and surveilling people. It will be an internet where people signal their interest, permission the use of their data, and are still going to be able to enjoy using the application. They're still going to be able to do all the things that you can currently do with TikTok Shop and so on and so forth. And it won't be in an exploitive way. It will be in a way that empowers the user base. And by the way, we want to involve the user base in the ownership of the platform. And it's one of the reasons why we call it the people's bid. I want to be clear. I'm not interested in being the CEO of US TikTok. And we have a management team lined up, and we have people lined up to go ahead and do this. We need to wait for the judge's decision, which we hope will be coming down as early as Friday of this week.
Frank, you had mentioned U.S. tech companies and U.S. social media companies. I wanted to get your thoughts on AI and whether you think these companies in the U.S. have a grasp on artificial intelligence and the rise of it, or whether you think it's really growing faster than, you know, what the biggest companies in the U.S. can handle.
Yeah, I have grave concerns about generative AI and large language models with the current tech architecture. And what I mean by that is that generative AI is a fancy name for a more powerful version of the technology we have, right? Which is a technology that accumulates personal data and which is the valuable data, and applies algorithms, which, by the way, are AI, and to that, to go ahead and exploit us, right? And to why on earth, knowing now that the internet as designed is broken? I mean, we hear about the harms every single day. Knowing that it's broken, why would we take the same technology and make it more powerful before fixing the pieces and parts that are broken, and then benefiting from large language models, generative AI, and all that AI offers? What Project Liberty is against,
right,
is centralized generative AI. We're all for decentralized generative AI, meaning a new, better internet.
Frank, got to leave it there.
Itself
Frank McCourt, chairman of McCourt Global. This is Bloomberg.